Greetings, citizens of Russia. This is a message from Anonymous. You are being trapped behind an iron curtain of propaganda.
مجموعة انونيموس التي تشن الهجمات السيبرانية على روسيا في خضم الأزمة الأوكرانية. لماذا تدير حساباتها الاجتماعية من بريطانيا؟ من يقود هذه المجموعة وكيف تنسق هجماتها؟ وهل تربطها علاقة بسكان هذا المبنى المخابرات الخارجية البريطانية MI6؟ وإلى أين سيصل سباق التسلح السيبراني بين بريطانيا وروسيا؟ أسئلة طرحناها على مجموعة من أبرز خبراء الأمن السيبراني في بريطانيا. احتلت مجموعة انونيموس عناوين الأخبار خلال الأشهر الماضية بسبب شنها هجمات على روسيا، وجذبت الاهتمام بغموضها. فكيف تأسست هذه المجموعة؟
Nobody knows who Anonymous are, and that's why they're called Anonymous.
They'd like to keep it that way. They'd like to stay anonymous, which is understandable because whatever the ethical standpoint they operate from, they are doing things which are illegal.
So Anonymous is a decentralized hacktivist group. Hacktivist means someone who fight for cause, but they do it online.
Coordinate through chats in order to do attacks depending on the different missions and operations that come up.
That was formed in about 2003 through chats on a website called 4chan, and they allow anyone to join the organisation provided they sign up to certain rules.
If you're aware of corruption, become anonymous today and expose wrongdoings.
Once I was looking into one of their Twitter accounts and their communications, there was one that was in different languages, including Italian, and they used an expression that is something that an Italian would use, but not that easy to find as a Google Translate option. So I was, wait, someone in that communication must be Italian for how they wrote that message. At the same time, that's a different type of inference, and I cannot be sure because it could also be a person who lived in Italy for enough time to learn the language in an appropriate way.
Anonymity also brings disadvantages as well as the advantages of hiding who they are. It means that anybody can pretend to be associated with Anonymous even when they're not. And we've seen that exploited by countries like Russia.
Some of the individuals will know others that are there because the wider cyber community is relatively small. Some will come from criminal backgrounds, others will come from perfectly legitimate backgrounds, some will come from within government organisations, some will come from hacktivists in their bedrooms.
هل تنشط هذه المجموعة من أجل المال أم السياسة؟ وهل تخضع لقيادة؟
I'm pretty sure they don't have any financial reasons because what I have seen in my 11 years of reporting, I have seen they do it for the cause.
It is a collective of like-minded individuals that share a certain ethical approach to what they are doing. But in terms of who is the ultimate leader or directing force, no, that's not something that has ever been publicly released.
Group of people that directs these type of operations.
What I have seen is that someone has skills to hack a website, so they would hack a website.
It's a bit like the way some of the terror organisations that we see around the globe today are organised. People sign up to it, whether it's an individual, whether it's a group of people, they follow the rough guidelines that that organisation is saying and will fly the flag. And of course the anonymous flag, when we see people out in public, is that very scary face mask that people walk around the streets on.
استعارت المجموعة القناع من رواية وفيلم في فور فانديتا، ويشير القناع إلى جاي فوكس الذي حاول تفجير البرلمان البريطاني في القرن السادس عشر.
There are some popular Twitter accounts that are run by anonymous groups. So what they do is that they follow you can say they follow their directions.
تنشط أنونيموس على تويتر من خلال حسابات عديدة، وهذا هو أشهر حسابات المجموعة، ويتابعه 8 مليون شخص، ويعيد أحيانا نشر تغريدات موقع هاكريد. فهل هناك اتصال بين الطرفين؟
Yes, we did. We do share news with them, and if they want, they can retweet it, or they do confirm that if the attack is authentic or not.
على فيسبوك صفحة موثقة تحمل اسم انونيموس، ووفقا لقواعد بيانات المنصة فإن مواقع إدارة الصفحة تشمل بريطانيا والولايات المتحدة. فكيف تسمح الشبكات الاجتماعية بالترويج لمجموعة تقوم بأنشطة غير شرعية؟ وما سر الإدارة من الأراضي البريطانية؟
Facebook and Twitter are highly permissive environments for groups, organizations, individuals that really should not be allowed a voice at all.
The Facebook pages could be managed by people physically located in the UK or the US, or both, or they may not be.
When Facebook does these type of, gives this type of information, it looks at the IP addresses. Now, when anonymous hackers use connections and so on, they do not use their own IP address. They actually mask through other IP addresses that may well be in other countries.
So simply because somebody has set up a page from the United States or the United Kingdom or any other country doesn't necessarily mean that any of its members are physically present there at all.
Well, no, there are individuals associated with Anonymous in the UK. I know some people who have done things on behalf of Anonymous.
Even if they were targeting someone from the UK, they would still not claim it.
Yeah, they've got individuals all over the world. Remember, one of the things about cyber is it's very difficult to attribute where an attacks come from.
أجمع الخبراء على أن القراصنة قادرون على استخدام مواقع وهمية، ولكنهم لم يستبعدوا أن يكون لأنونيموس وجود داخل الأراضي البريطانية. فهل تعمل المجموعة لصالح المخابرات والجيش البريطانيين؟
The ones who started it and the ones who were behind these attacks all these years, reportedly, I don't think so that they had any connection with the government.
I can be quite clear on that. There's no formal relationship. And the reason why is that military or government organizations want to control what it is that they're doing.
They actually have attacked in the past many of the Western governments, including those of UK and US.
Whether they are now exploiting Anonymous and using its members or its techniques in order to target Russia is another question.
At this point, the most peaceful way for this conflict to end would be for the people of Russia to rise up against Putin and remove him from power. We have your back, and we will be providing cyber assistance throughout the struggle.
تمكنت مجموعة أنونيموس من اختراق مواقع هيئات روسية كبرى، فما تأثير تلك الهجمات؟ وكيف تنفذ المجموعة عملياتها؟
On Russian television, where members of Anonymous managed to get a short video showing some of the truths of what was going on inside Ukraine.
Claimed to hack a Russian central bank, and although they leaked only 22 GBs of data, even that data had a lot of sensitive information.
Hacked into the Russian Ministry of Defense and compromised some of the Russian Ministry of Defense databases.
They hacked exposed databases of Russian businesses and just wiped the data off and left messages in favor of Ukraine. That was a big damage for businesses in Russia.
All of which would be damaging for anybody that wanted to exploit Russian vulnerabilities during the current war with Ukraine.
DDoS is deliberate denial of service. It's one of the attack methods that they use, and it's one of the more public ones, because what it does is it deliberately denies someone access to a website.
Consider it as all the websites have a very large door, so many people can enter at the same time. The attackers try to basically occupy that door with fake people passing through that actually are not doing any use of the door, but they do not allow people to enter.
They hack Internet of Things devices that we normally call IoT devices. For example, routers, printers, databases.
Now, if it is done by one person, by one IP address, that is our identifier when we are on the internet, this is pretty simple to block. So nowadays, what happens is a distributed denial of service. That means there are many devices trying to do this type of attacks, so that they come from all over the world, basically.
والبرلمان البريطاني ومؤسسات رسمية وبحثية أخرى تشهد نقاشات مستمرة بشأن مستقبل سباق التسلح السيبراني بين بريطانيا وروسيا.
Many times the exploits that the state hackers have are not known to the public, so we don't know to which extent these exploits are advanced.
And taking that broader view of how you can get your way in foreign policy and achieve your strategic objectives using information as a whole rather than just cyberpower, it's clear that Russia has had the advantage for a long time.
And I would say UK, US, Russia and China are probably all tier one, so they're competing with each other as to who's the best.
Russia thinks in terms of information warfare overall rather than strictly cyber, which for Russia is just the technical representation of information.
For now, I think it's the Russians. I think Russia recognized one thing, that one war can be, you can fight a war physically on the ground, but there's another war going online.
وزارة الدفاع البريطانية شكلت قوة خاصة للأمن القومي السيبراني، وخصصت لها قاعدة عسكرية في شمال غرب إنجلترا، وأعلنت صراحة أن هذه القوة مستعدة لتنفيذ هجمات سيبرانية على روسيا.
They have started a national cybersecurity force, and they are open about it now, and their plan is to target their adversaries. It will be aggressive attacks, it won't be defensive.
In theory they could. Whether they have done or not, I don't know. But I do know that the West have launched offensive cyber operations in different countries around the world. The Secretary of State for Defence has been quite clear with the UK's approach, as of the Americans, in that there is an offensive as well as a defensive cyber capabilities.
It's not easy, let's say, to quantify whether this investment is enough or not. Because sometimes simply the hackers, the attackers, have these new exploits that can be extremely powerful.
الحكومة البريطانية أعلنت استراتيجيتها للأمن السيبراني للفترة من 2022 إلى 2030. وتنص الاستراتيجية على ضمان تقديم الخدمات العامة عبر الإنترنت وتوفير الأمن الرقمي ودعم سيادة بريطانيا. كما أعلنت استراتيجيتها للأمن الرقمي لعام 2022 وتقوم على 5 مبادئ، هي دعم القطاع السيبراني البريطاني بالمهارات والإمكانيات والتحلي بالمرونة والتقدم التكنولوجي والشراكات الدولية ومواجهة المخاطر.
But now that they have launched a cybersecurity force, so this is a huge development, and it was needed basically. It's been 2 years now that they went public with this information, but what they have shared is that all the intelligence agencies of the country and the law enforcement agencies, they are involved with the cyber force.
The fact that a lot of UK companies and government organisations have not been hit in a very bad way with cyber attacks, overt cyber attacks, is a testament to its success.
Mr. Speaker, it's now been 61 days since Russia invaded Ukraine.
وزير الدفاع البريطاني بن والاس تعرض لعملية احتيال إلكترونية عندما تمكن ممثل كوميدي روسي من انتحال شخصية رئيس الوزراء الأوكراني، واستدرج والاس وعقد معه محادثة لمدة 10 دقائق.
Hello.
Hello. How are you there?
I'm fine. I'm in Poland.
Oh, okay. Yes, I know. We would like to continue the nuclear program in order to protect ourselves from Russia. It's a difficult question, but we think to start it.
Okay. But do you think, I think more than being neutral, Russia would really hate that.
For sure. We know this, of course, but it's one of the question that we are interested. But if you could help us in this regard, it would be really, really important.
Okay, well, look, Mr. Prime Minister, on all those bigger questions, I think those are questions that I need to speak to my Prime Minister. The principle is we will support Ukraine as our friend in the choices you make.
وكان بن ولس هو من أعلن عن العملية عبر حسابه على تويتر، ووصفها بمحاولة للحديث معه قام بها شخص انتحل شخصية رئيس الوزراء الأوكراني، وقال إن المتحدث طرح أسئلة خادعة، وإن بن ولس هو الذي بادر بإنهاء المكالمة. فهل تعد هذه العملية هجوما سيبرانيا روسيا ناجحا؟
Talking to Ben Wallace wasn't a cyber attack success, it was a system attack success. It's not impossible that there was a cyber element to it in gaining access for the Russian side.
I wouldn't consider it as a cyber attack. I put that down to a complete failure in procedures.
A cyber incident, definitely. I don't think there was the government behind or a sort of Russian movement behind it from the government saying, I'll try to do that.
From a professional intelligence perspective, nothing happens out of Russia unless there is a degree of control on it. The most successful cyber attacks that are occurring out there are the ones we don't know about.
هذا المستشفى وغيره في بريطانيا من ضمن الأهداف المحتملة لهجمات سيبرانية، خاصة وأن أنظمة هيئة الصحة العامة في بريطانيا كانت قد تعرضت لهجوم سيبراني موسع في عام 2017 وأشارت أصابع الاتهام إلى روسيا.
Got into the NHS computers in our health service and caused an awful lot of disruption in a lot of diagnostic equipment, a lot of appointment booking systems and all the rest of it.
We've seen a series of disclosures or partial disclosures of attacks on British organisations and institutions and government agencies over the years.
There are a number of attacks. The classic one, which wasn't the UK but was close enough, was Ireland, and the health service in Ireland got attacked, and that was attributed to a Russian attack.
There's one thing everyone should know about Russian hackers, that they call them APT, that advanced persistent threat. Persistent mean that they continue their attacks. They don't brag about it, that they have hacked this and they have hacked that. So it's a long-term hacking. In February this year, they warned that Russia will target England. But now, on 22nd March, they said that the Russian hackers backed by Russian government and intelligence agencies, especially FSB, they have targeted critical UK energy and other infrastructure.
The most successful cyber attacks, which we haven't discussed, are what I call covert ones, where hostile nations will come in and sit in a network and nobody will know that they're there. They're slowly but surely just removing information and listening and watching.
So the issue there is whether these attacks are made by groups that sympathize with the Russian government or from the Russian government themselves. So it's public knowledge that in Russia there is a lot of different groups of hackers. So this is one of the countries where hackers know they can quite safely operate.
وتنفي روسيا مسؤوليتها عن الهجمات السيبرانية في الغرب، وقالت في بيانات رسمية عبر سفاراتها في واشنطن وعواصم غربية أخرى إنها لم ولا تنفذ هجمات في الفضاء الرقمي.
عمليات القرصنة أصبحت جزءاً من النزاعات العسكرية، فهل تتزايد أم تتراجع في المستقبل؟ وما هو مصير مجموعة انونيموس؟
In a longer time, I think Russian hackers would have an upper hand.
Unfortunately, the future, as data breaches will happen again, denial of services will happen again. Although us as the community, we are trying to do our best to stop these type of attacks. It's impossible to be, let's say, completely safe. It's impossible. I would love to say it's possible, but it's not.
The internet's increasing, our use of technology is increasing, our connectivity of different systems and different devices is increasing, and therefore those that are going to find a way of abusing those connections, whether it be for fun or for other purposes, so the wider hacktivist community is only going to increase?
This group has been around since 2003, so I don't think that the war will actually change the group.
Anonymous will continue to develop as it has done over all of the years of its existence, not only embracing new members, but also, as we've seen in the case of Russia and Ukraine, embracing new causes.
But since the Ukraine and Russian conflict, they have been active like never before. So if they are active just like they are now, I think they would have a longer impact.
We are anonymous. We are legion. Expect us.